Absolutely, Brian Kendrick, certainly a man for, well, the extracurricular activities, will we say, and just leave it at that, I think. Now, Ring of Honor, the next subject is the Big Bang pay-per-view on April 3rd in Charlotte, North Carolina. The card is stacking up nicely, and for $15, you can go to Go Fight Live and view the pay-per-view over the internet wherever you are, as long as you have a nice connection, and you'll get that good video quality no matter what part of the world you're in. Certainly a great development for Ring of Honor fans worldwide.
It's brilliant. It's something the rest of them should do. I don't know why they don't, to be honest with you, but especially at that price. And I mean, in 2 weeks, they've built this pay-per-view up better than any TNA pay-per-views been built up in the last year, and probably 70% of WWE pay-per-views. And if Ring of Honor can do that in 2 weeks, there's a lot to be said. Because I'm gonna watch that.
It looks like one that you can't resist at $15. It's so cheap, really. Compare that to the $40, $50 WWE will have you pay on a monthly basis. Ring of Honor would do well with having some TV coverage, but having that internet connection now and the ability to watch Ring of Honor live certainly is the type of thing that could make the product really blow up worldwide, especially in this market where they really do not have much coverage yet.
No coverage. So we have to get our fix from the internet when it comes to Ring of Honor, but at least they have that option out there, and they kind of look after the fans, and they make things easily available, and they're aware of the amount of wrestling fans that don't have cable TV or don't watch stuff on TV that are more internet based, and some of the other companies should kind of take a little bit more note of that too, I think.
Indeed, the Ring of Honor card looking very interesting. Of course, you're going to have that triple threat with Aries, Black and Strong. They're all going to be in the ring taking each other on so that we can find out who the ultimate champion will be between those three guys. And all the recent TV time that's been given to this angle has been fantastic. We've had Cornette in there, always a guy who's going to make anything legit. No matter what angle he steps into, it basically becomes legit with his presence, right?
It does. It's brilliantly built, and I think my money's on Roderick Strong. Definitely, I think he'd be a great Ring of Honor champion. And someone who, in a lot of ways, is respected but very underrated, and can definitely dance the dance with Aries and Black. And I'd like to see old Roddy come out on top this time.
Certainly, Roderick Strong is the guy that they're kind of pointing at in a roundabout way with his current sort of demeanor, if you like, backstage, kind of acting like maybe he's the underdog, and maybe we're all forgetting about Roderick Strong, perhaps looking at the recently crowned new champion Tyler Black and Austin Aries, who we all have seen on TNA in the past.
Yeah, I don't think Austin Aries will take it for the third time. And again, what could happen was Tyler Black comes out on top and retains the title and gets that extra bit of push, which would be good for him, because God knows he's had a long wait to grab that belt as well. So it'll be worth April 3rd, worth checking out, definitely.
The Big Bang pay-per-view, that is the main event. There are some other matches going at the moment that have been announced for the Big Bang, but certainly we like talking mainly about that World Heavyweight Championship. Certainly that card as well, subject to change as always with any card, but indeed with Ring of Honor, a little bit more possible. These guys have other jobs too in some cases, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, so You gotta watch to find out. Big time.
Did want to mention Steve Corino, of course. He was a great manager once again, looking good in that suit and interfering in a match. That's always a highlight to get Steve Corino in there as well. That's Ring of Honor on HD Net for this week. You're listening to the Wrestledope podcast. We're recording the podcast live here on justin.tv, and indeed we will be talking about all the week's programming, the news, and indeed any of our thoughts on the programming at this time. Now, moving on to WWE NXT.
Yeah, this week NXT, a bit of a mixed bag of a show, I thought. It's kind of lost the momentum a little bit. I don't know why, but it has. And poor Skip Sheffield, he needs to win. We got to keep him on screen. And jobbing to Wade Barrett isn't going to do him any favours. But I think Barrett's going to get the push with Jericho. I can see him hanging around no matter what the case. They seem to work well together, and he kind of reminds me of early Triple H back in the Hunter Hearst. It's so hard to say that, isn't it? Hunter Hearst Helmsley days. Wade Barrett is the man, but Skip Sheffield is more the man, and he needs to be put over. So having him job 2 weeks in a row isn't good. He's a good guy, Skip. I want to see more Skip.
Indeed, NXT, and my first reaction this week was, why is Darren Young with the Straight Edge Society? But of course, this question was answered not long afterwards when CM Punk, he dumped Darren Young, and he pretty much nailed the coffin on that one. It looks like no more Straight Edge Society and Darren Young.
Yeah, poor Darren Young. God knows where that's going to go. But at the same time, look at Justin Gabriel, the super push got a little bit of a squash with himself, and I think it already has got a little bit of a squash when they paired him with Matt Hardy. God bless his soul. But what are you gonna do? For the most part, I thought what was really funny was the Khali and Daniel Bryan situation there for fans of pro wrestling. That was a funny side.
The great Khali and Daniel Bryan, what an unlikely pairing. Did we ever think we were going to see that? If you told some of the marks a couple of years ago that would happen, they would have absolutely gone crazy and said, why is Bryan Danielson leaving my ROH? But it's happened. He's on NXT now, and indeed more clearer on the point of NXT this week, as we heard that in 2 weeks' time, the first round of votes will be completed. Who will stick around and who will be sent away? It's still all very vague. It's almost like they don't want to say this is going to happen, or this will be the result of this competition before they actually know what they're going to do themselves.
Yeah, I think it's vague because they don't know what the hell they're probably doing, and they probably won't until that week, knowing WWE and the way they work sometimes. I think some of those names, they're not really over as it is, but it's gonna be interesting to see who survives it. I mean, Heath Slater, he went over this week, and it's kind of an up and down hill struggle for everybody. I think everybody's kind of from David Otunga to Darren Young, all of them ups and downs. So it'll be interesting to see who comes true. My money's on Daniel Bryan. That's an obvious choice, I think. But I'd like to see Skip Sheffield big time.
Daniel Bryan and David Otunga, certainly the two guys at the moment who are standing head and shoulders above the rest. There's a lot of great performers, though, and not ignoring the likes of Heath Slater, Michael Tarver and Darren Young, because as the weeks go by, these guys certainly are shaping up to be mainstream television performers. They're doing a lot better, and indeed, this is the right place to push those guys where they're not getting in anyone's way. But on that point, it is questionable, not that he's done much recently, but you've got your Matt Hardys and your William Regals. They're jobbing like crazy now. You got to wonder if they're happy about this.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned this in the chat room last week that we were complaining about Kane and Mark Henry and somebody else. Maybe it wasn't Matt Hardy. No, it wasn't Matt Hardy. Kane, Mark Henry, somebody anyway. And they said that at least Kane puts people over. In the same respect of Goldust and Regal, you can see, that's part and parcel of why the reason they're still around. But what I do like is to see the NXT stuff spill into Raw and into SmackDown with their pairings, like having Wade Barrett with Jericho on SmackDown. I think it's good for him to be on the big shows too, and